Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience Podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions.
Because COVID, they would not have allowed us in COVID. So
Right.
because we were able to do that through WeBuild the year before, but I was calling them from 17, 18, finally in 19, we got into the stadium. And it's because we were pleasantly persistent. And again, it's how you do it. It's not, I'm not cold calling, hard selling. I'm saying, hey, Susan, how are you? Any plans this weekend? Like, I'm talking to Susan and I'm trying to build a relationship with Susan, and I'm doing it every Friday. And I'm at first annoying and then cute. And it takes tact to do that. Right. And I don't get upset, and I expect her to say no, but I make the call anyway. And I'm like, hope you have a wonderful weekend, Susan. And over time, by the way, we built a friendship. And when she left Delaware North at the Padres and went to the Aztecs, and the Aztecs built the new stadium where Qualcomm is, guess what? She called me, and we're in that stadium because we built a friendship while I was being a pain in the ass every Friday for 2 years.
Right.
That opened doors in the new stadium for me while I was still in Petco at the time.
So one of the things that you talk about in here in your handout, your playbook to millions, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So in your playbook, that's that QR code we just showed. In your playbook, you talk about the script for the persistent, pleasantly persistent, right? And one of the things that you say to them is, do you have any fun plans this weekend? Right? What it does is it changes their demeanor. And they'll tell you about the dog park. They'll tell you about their kids are in town. They'll tell you about, right? And all of a sudden it's like, oh, great. You got kids? I do too. How old are your kids? Right. And you're literally getting to know, like, by the time this whole thing happened, you had to have known Susan so well. You with me?
I'm definitely with you.
That's what I'm talking about, is people give up after the second try. They give up after what, you with me? And it's like, so I hired a coach when I started my podcast. I hired a coach. You know, 98% of podcasts don't make it past the second episode.
I did not know it was that bad. I knew the stat was bad.
That's unreal, Jeff. That is absolutely unreal. The thing is, I always knew I was going to make it past 2, right? We're approaching 90, So anyway, this is one of those things where you just have to keep going. And that's the thing about this book, is it literally gives people the roadmap to success. Now, it's not glamorous. It's not easy, right?
It's not hard.
It can be done. It's
not hard. It's not easy because it's different from what you're used to.
Yeah.
But it's not hard. And what you just articulated a minute ago is you have to be more interested in them than interesting and care about what's in it for me. Like, even, I don't know if you paid attention, but I do this innately now because I've done it for so long. But like when we were talking before we hit record, I asked you about, I now know you have 2 kids in their 20s. I know where you grew up. I know where you live. I know that the home office, I know the real estate background. I asked you questions because I don't want this to just be about me. I need to learn and get to know you, not because I have any agenda. I don't. My agenda is to get to know you because I need to find, and this is where the name of the book feels icky to some, and I'm glad. It's called Relationship Bank Account, because every relationship is like a bank account, whether it's with your parents, your kids, your spouse, your friends, your coworkers, acquaintances, vendors, suppliers, customers, doesn't matter. We have an unspoken ledger, and either you have a lot of wealth in your bank account, like your checking account with each other, or you don't. I want to make deposits quickly. And the way I can do that is I have to learn about you, because the more I know about you, the more I can think and say, okay, what in my sphere of circle of life, whether it's someone I know, something I know how to do, whatever, can I do to create an immediate deposit with you? So when we are done with this interaction, I'm ahead. And now I have some wealth built up together where you're like, hey, that guy, Jeff, man, he was cool. When I see something that's going to help his business, his life, his family, I'm going to hit him up. That's what I want. It's selfish. And you have to think of it that way because we're all selfish creatures. Like when I take my kid when, they're older now, but when I took them to the zoo when they were little babies, it made me feel good. That's a selfish reason. Yeah, I took my child there. They enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it more watching them enjoy it. So it was being selfish. We're all very good with those things, but with each other and strangers, we miss I mean, people miss. And that's where it's like you don't realize what doors could be created and open for you and windows if you just start going through life being interested, asking questions, and you don't know what to do. Like if I just met you, I say, hey, what's that logo on your shirt? Right? Like I could start to ask you about things that you're trying to portray that are important. You could ask me about these jerseys or, the big chicken over there or the Everbowl there or the family picture or the book, whatever. They're here as cues, right? We tell each other with how we dress, what we drive, what we have on. That's a pretty purse. Where'd you get it? I love your shoes. What brand is that? Oh, that's a cool watch. Nice sunglasses. Where'd you go this weekend? Tell me about something about you. Ask questions. Get them talking. You do
I
that.
like your car. Have you been in off-roading long?
Right. Exactly.
That's straight out of here. I just quoted you.
Yes. Yes.
It's literally that simple. It just takes effort. There's one other story that I want you to tell if it's okay. And I'm sorry to indulge, but I'm just as a huge favor to me.
Please.
I believe this is incredibly important. You went to go speak at a conference and you had your hat on backwards. You were dressed the way you normally dress, which is casual and comfortable and all that kind of stuff, right? And then you got up you were mingling around. Tell that story.
Well, actually, you'll love this. It was with Roland Frazier in 2011 or 12 at Traffic and Conversion Summit in San Diego. And Roland said, come speak, because I was partnered with Neil and doing digital marketing. And I said, sure. And so I had my hat on. Now, back then, also, it was even less professional. Like professional attire today is much more casual. Back then, it was still very business. Collared shirts, ties, whatever. I was in a version of athletic pants, backwards hat, probably a hoodie or a t-shirt. And I was mingling with people and nobody would really talk to me. Like everybody would give you the, oh, hey, nice to meet you. How quickly can I get out of this conversation look and go speak to somebody else? And I was doing it not at the time to realize what I was doing. I was just trying to make friends and meet people like I always do, but they were all ignoring me. And then I got on stage and I opened with it. And I said, hey, I saw the faces like, wait, he's the speaker? Oh my gosh. And I explained to them, like, you guys all judged, a lot of people judged me because of how I'm dressed. But had they known I was the speaker, they would have talked to me. And that's the mistake. You think the checkout clerk at Albertsons, you think the guy who's dressed in a backwards hat, the woman who maybe is on her phone and not paying attention, doesn't have immediate value to you. So you don't build relationship capital with them. But what you fail to realize is the best way to get to somebody who of stature or importance in your industry or A-list celebrity or hiring CEO of a big company is through their sphere of influence. It's not directly. I got to a lot of high, powerful humans through other people, and everybody is someone's mother, sister, brother, aunt, cousin, friend. And if I'd called the guy with the 1,000 employees size company and tried to get him as my payroll client, I never would have gotten anywhere.
Yeah.
But his sister opened the door, and I walked through. And that is the power of relationships. And so when you start to realize that everybody can be that gatekeeper for you, if you take it with intention, like as I mentioned before, it's a matter of when, not if, you're going to run into somebody who can help you.
Yeah.
And it happens. I mean, I don't want it to just think about business. Like my daughter, my oldest, she goes to Ole Miss in Mississippi. I didn't know anybody there. Nobody. We knew nobody there. We got accepted. I was going to buy a place out there for my wife and me to go when we visit her. So hired a realtor, made friends with the realtor, took him and his wife out to dinner. Didn't have to. He's just my realtor, but I like to make friends. Come to find out, he had two former clients that had friends or daughters that were at Ole Miss. So when my daughter went there for orientation, there were two one was a sophomore, one was a junior. He connected me with them. I connected the girls with my daughter. They went out for whatever, pizza, coffee, whatever the hell they did. She had two friends before she ever went to school. They were in a sorority. They got her introduced. She's now in that sorority and she's having the time of her life. And it was because of a friend, a realtor, who introduced me to two people who introduced my daughter to people who made her experience at Ole Miss easier, better. And now some of these girls are some of her best friends. Yeah. Is that making us money? No, but it's great for my daughter versus had she gone, maybe didn't know anybody, felt uncomfortable. Who knows if she would have had a good experience? I don't know. I don't care. I want her to have the best options, right? I want her to have access to all these opportunities. And it was because I took, Tim Mullins, if you're ever in Oxford, Tim Mullins is my realtor out there. He's amazing.
There you go.
Took him and his wife, we went to dinner and we built a friendship and a relationship, and he helped my daughter and I bought a house, and it was all great, together. And that's the whole thing. It's like, you can do this everywhere you go. And I don't know why people don't. And so that was the purpose and spirit of my book. It came actually from LinkedIn, because LinkedIn hired me to do a course, because I think when you look at my track record in business and some of the people see now, like, I work with Shaquille O'Neal and Drew Brees and Gary Vaynerchuk and big names that people may know. And they're like, how did you get access to these people? Like, what are you doing? Like, how did this happen? And they don't realize that it's curated through relationship capital. And as you do it, like all things, if you have more money, you can invest in more things and make more money. Well, if you have more relationship capital, you can get access to more people and build more relationship capital. And so you're seeing me further along than where you are, but don't think that it's a gap that you can't cross. You can build yourself to where I'm at and beat me very easily through dedication and attention. And so the book was really my way of giving back and helping and saying, hey, this is how I've done it. It's not complicated. You don't need a law degree or be intelligent, extremely intelligent to do it. You can do this anywhere in the country. I share these stories all the time, but I was just speaking in Madison, Wisconsin, and I have a videographer, Andrew. He comes with me where we go to capture content, and we land, and the Uber driver is driving us. And at first, the Uber driver doesn't really want to talk because he's not used to it. But I'm Chatty Cathy. I'm going to talk. And so I'm chatting with him. We're talking, hey, where should we go? First time in Madison, this, that, and the other thing. And I was there to speak at a state, to a sales team for Northwestern Mutual. And sorry, I blanked there for a second. Northwestern Mutual hired me to come speak to their sales department. And I was like, yeah, I've never been here. So he eventually started talking. We started to get into a conversation, and he told me about the best restaurant in Madison, and he ended up helping us get a reservation. So we had one that night. And then we started talking about scuba diving and what he does for fun. And he goes to Cozumel, which is my favorite place to go scuba diving. And lo and behold, he's a huge diver, and he's going in a couple of weeks. I'm like jealous. So we're chatting about scuba diving, and he's like, man, I'll be there in April. And I usually go in March or April. And I was like, well, we should dive together. And so I got his number. So when I go to Cozumel, and then I go to Northwestern Mutual, and I meet a bunch of people, and went to the dinner, and met another person who was a big diver, and he has an Airbnb in Cozumel, and he offered to let me stay there. So now, from going to speak at an event, I had access to the city. I now have friends to go dive with in Cozumel, and this is life. And so again, my friends always say it's Fenster luck, and I'll say it is. But everyone is fishing with one rod or reel, and I just put as many rods and reels as are on the boat are going in the water, and I'm going to try.
You're throwing a net out there, baby.
Absolutely. If you give me a stick of dynamite, I'll drop that in the water, and let's pick up
a couple of things. I'm a huge Sean Merriman fan. Huge. Yes. Love that guy. You made the cool list. You made the cool list with my wife because of Drew Brees. She loves Drew Brees. Absolutely just loves that guy. So nothing like it, man. And then Roland, of course, is in there, and he's, I just met Roland the other day for the first time. So we're really, really connected. And it's true. Everything that's in here is true. The thing is, people just don't apply what they should apply. And this is literally the roadmap. Relationship bank account is the roadmap to success.
Yep.
It absolutely is. And the thing about it is, you understand human communication on a level that almost nobody does. And in the almost 90 episodes that we've done, nobody has ever asked me the questions that you asked me before we hit record. Nobody's ever asked me, hey, tell me about your audience. Tell me what you're trying to do. Tell me what your mission is. Tell me, right?
Yep.
None of that. Not even remotely close.
It's fascinating to me.
You can tell. I spent 3 minutes with you, and I knew, of course I read the book, but I knew within 3 minutes that I was with a master.
I don't know about that, but
no, I'm saying in terms of communication. You with me? The thing that's the most brilliant about this is about active listening. People think that communication nowadays is I'm talking to you and you're thinking about what you're going to say next. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's the textbook definition of a debate. And I can tell you that because I was one of the best debaters in the nation in school. The thing is, a conversation is, I'm talking to you, you're listening to what I'm saying, And then you're at some point, if you want to implement active listening, you're going to ask me about something I just said. Does that make sense? Because
Absolutely.
it gives you an opportunity to reach another level with people. And so that's why, I mean, I teach this stuff all the time, and it's just, I want people to learn. I want people to learn how to not do this, look around, okay, and see that big, beautiful world. Because there really is a big, beautiful world out there filled with big, beautiful people like you, right? Like that grocery store clerk, like, you with me? Those people
Yes.
that were in that room that were ignoring you because you weren't dressed as good as they were. Okay.
Well, it's like you just said, but it's what do you want? And the second you make the determination, what do I want? Do you want more wealth? Do you want more opportunity? Do you want to have more fun? Do you want abundance? If the answer is yes to those four things, unless you're Mark Zuckerberg and can code Facebook from your dorm room and you're so or you're Elon Musk and create companies that are things that I just can't do. Like I said, I'm an ordinary guy. So I had to figure out what extra stuff to do to get extraordinary results. And once I figured out the formula, now it's just applying it over and over and over again. And I want to build relationships with as many quality human beings as I can. And the way you build a relationship is you ask questions and you get them to talk so you can learn about them. And the more you learn about them, the more they're going to like you, because people like to talk. And that's the thing. When you realize human beings, like who we are, we all want to be heard. We want to talk about ourselves. We want to talk about our kids. We want to talk about our companies. We want to talk, 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 talk. And so if you want to build a relationship, ask, 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 ask. Let them talk, listen, find another question, go deeper there. And then what they're going to tell you is what's important to them, what challenges they're dealing with. I mean, I'll share one more story because I think it'll help the audience. I work with a lot of big name human beings. People always ask me, how did you get Gary Vaynerchuk or Shaquille O'Neal to do business with you? The difference between me and most people who go up to them is most people go up to them with, this is my company, Gary, how can you help me? Gary, what would you do if, and this is my situation, this is how cool my company is or where I'm struggling. How can you help me? And for Gary, he's like, I mean, sure, I can give you some tips, I can give you some advice, but I'm a human being. And you're not looking at me as a human being, you're looking at me as a platform.
A resource.
Yeah. I went up to Gary, because we were both speaking at the same event and we were backstage and we finally got to hang out for a few minutes. And I asked him the same question I asked most people. Gary, what is one passion project or big challenge that you're dealing with right now that you either haven't solved or working to solve this year? That simple question. And he talks to me about his product V-Friends, these little toys that he's selling. He's like, I have my V-Friends and I want to sell them in vending machines in retail stores around the country. And I want people to be able to come and buy them. That sounds cool. What's the challenge? And he goes, I haven't found a retailer yet to put them in. I have almost 100 Everbowls around the country, Gary. Would you want to put them in my stores? You do that? Sure. I have customers. That'd be fun. Why not? I like your V-Friends. I like you, Gary. I like what you stand for. He's like, that'd be incredible. I'm like, done. And he connected me with his team. Then two of his guys, Gary, me, went on a Zoom. We started chatting about the details. My team got involved. We just executed the deal. It's coming out in 24, which is this year. You're going to hear about it. You're going to see them in all the Everbowls. He's going to do some cross promotions together. I'm going on his podcast. He's going to come on mine. He's going to do some meetups in Everbowl. And now Gary Vaynerchuk's engaged with Everbowl. He's helping me grow it. And Gary, being the incredible human, he goes above and beyond. The second we signed the contract, he immediately said, Jeff, I want you on my show. I want to add more value to Everbowl. I want to do all these things for you. I never asked him to do any of those things.
Yeah.
I asked him his problem. I had a way to help him. It was going to be mutually beneficial because people will come to Everbowl to buy his V-Friend toys. Maybe they'll buy a bowl. We can all win together. And now I can text him right now. He'll text me back. We can do business together and he's going to help my brand Everbowl. Am I lucky? Or did I just approach the relationship different? I said, how can I help you and lead with value? Where most people say, Gary, how can you help me and lead with their hands out? Yeah. And the second you can figure out how to switch that chasm in all relationships, I'm telling you, the doors don't open. There is no doors.
That's absolutely it. That's absolutely it. I've been the top producer in the companies that I've been in for years, right? And it was always, Mike, you got a minute? Mike, you got a minute? Mike, you got a minute? Right? And I'd sit down with them. I got to a point to where now they have to sit with me. They'd get in my car. I'd put them in my car and we would spend the day together. At the end of the day, they would come back to me and go, okay, because everybody thinks there's a secret, Jeff. They think there's a secret shortcut that you know and I know that nobody else knows, right? And here's how you can do it and not have to work hard. at the end of the day, they would look at me and go, "You're out of your mind. I could never do this for a living."
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Go do something else. Go sell
That's right.
donuts. Okay.
Yeah. Go do something
One
else.
other thing that I'm going to share with you that I learned. I was getting ready. I was thrown into a situation where I had less than 10 minutes notice and I was supposed to speak before thousands of people. And I thought I was having a panic attack. And I had been a professional public speaker for years, right? I mean, this wasn't a new thing for me. Okay. But there were a lot of people in that audience. And I had an epiphany. And the epiphany was, if I cared more about them than I did about how I looked on stage or about me, right? That completely freed me up, and it turned me into somebody on stage that I always wanted to be. I always wanted to be that person that brought it, just absolutely 1000% brought it. Like, if you've ever been to a Tony Robbins, I'm sure you have, but that's that kind of thing, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's just, anyway, it was a real moment for me, and it was something that just absolutely drove me. So is there anything you'd like to cover before? By the way, is the $1 Million Playbook, is that coming out as a book?
No, that's just
okay.
a free,
So just a bonus.
Just a free bonus. Yeah, no, I think for your audience sake, if you're listening to this, you made it through this much and you're either not sure how and what you could be remarkable at because you want to be successful, you don't love your industry, or you just haven't figured out the path. I would say to you, the easiest thing, and I'll just quickly share it. It's one of my keynotes, is what I talk about. It's a success formula that has worked for me. And I'll just share it with you really quickly. And, you can reach out to me if you want to go deeper and hear more about it. But there's 5 simple formulaic rules to success.
Mm-hmm.
If you do these 5, you will be successful. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. Number 1, make friends and have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Make as many friends as you can and have fun doing whatever it is you're doing. Number 2, take immediate decisive action. So many people sit on the sidelines waiting for some other option and don't realize that the time to do something is right now.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, Kaizen. You may suck at it today, but go at it with the idea of getting 1% better every single day. Who cares what you are today? Tomorrow you can be better and better and better and better and better. Number 4, try to be remarkable. Don't aim for perfect. You hit perfect on the way to remarkability. The definition of being remarkable is, did you give 100% of your best effort that you have today into whatever it is you're doing? That's it. So if you're really bad at it, that's okay. Be really bad at it, but give 100%. Mm-hmm. If you can do that every day, you're aiming towards remarkability. And the last one is be change ready. The world is constantly changing. And if you as a human aren't change ready and you're so dogmatic in your views and this is how I do things and I will never change, you'll go extinct, because the world's always changing, whether it's social media, whether it's, the macro events like COVID and supply chain and presidential elections and wars and the internet and AI and crypto, and you pick it. Doesn't really matter, right? You have to be willing to change. And if you're going to change, it's scary. You're like, well, I've always done it this way. How am I going to start over? How am I going to do this? Very easy. Go back to rule number 1, make friends and have fun, take immediate decisive action, Kaizen your way to becoming very good, aim for remarkability, and be change ready. You do those things over and over again, and you too can have an immense level of success. And the rule number 1 is the most important: make friends and have fun. And through those relationships, it's incredible how many opportunities will again come. And no longer is it doors open. There's no more doors. It's just this open world. And you get to walk on this uncrowded, some people say the high road, but we'll just say this uncrowded road with other high achievers that are looking for more humans to do life and business with. And when you start to do that, you realize, oh my gosh, it's so much easier than I thought. It does take work. It's not overnight. It's a daily focused effort. Mm-hmm. But you're alive anyway, and you're working anyway. So go do it and have all the success you want, all the financial freedom, all the abundance in relationships, and all the opportunities.
Pleasantly persistent, baby.
Pleasantly persistent.
Two final questions.
Okay.
What was your favorite thing about writing this book?
Ooh, that's a great question. Having to actually articulate, writing the book, I'm going to change it. Doing the course for LinkedIn, because the book was built off the course I did for LinkedIn. Okay. LinkedIn hired me to do a course on relationships, and
what's it called? What's the course called?
It's in LinkedIn Learning Library.
Okay.
Content. You can just search by my name and see it. I have 2 courses with them.
Okay.
If you're a premium member, it's free. If you're not, you can just message me. I can send it to you through their platform. But something on relationships, it's their course. They named it. I just was person doing the stuff. The part of that was the taking this concept that I was doing innately and doing, that I had learned and doing, and having to frame it into chapters and like an organized thesis and an organized outline, like that process of going, okay, how did we do that? And how can I teach that? And what would I do if I had to tell my child how to do that? And just going through that process, it made me more aware of what I was doing, which made me actually better at it by writing the book and doing the course, because now I was like, oh my gosh, look at all those times that worked. What if I do that more? What if I do that now that I'm aware of what I was doing? And so having to think back through all the different ways that I built these relationships, that, and then if you notice in the book, at the end of every chapter, I ask a friend to answer 3 questions. And you get to hear from, David Meltzer's and Drew Breeses and Dan Fleischman's and Roland Frazier's. They're all in the book.
Neil Patel's.
Yeah, they're all there. Pat Flynn's, and getting to hear their answers, and Neil was just on my podcast. The episode's going to be coming out in a few weeks. And he answered one of the questions in a way that was not how I expected. When I asked him, would you rather know, one of the questions is, would you rather know 1,000 people really well, or would you rather $1 million? And he'd rather the $1 million.
Yeah.
And knowing Neil, he's not the guy who wants to go make friends with everybody, but he's brilliant. Okay. He has something I didn't. So if you're extremely talented and extremely brilliant, you may not need other humans, but most people need to lean on a community to elevate, and we either rise together or fall together. So that was my other favorite part, was getting to ask them those questions and getting to include them in my book. So now they're part of the book, which was fun.
That's awesome. So final question.
Okay.
What is your favorite thing about your podcast?
So the Jeff Fenster Show is all about success formula. So as I mentioned, I think success is formulaic. I think we overcomplicate how to do it. If you follow a formula, you can be successful, as I gave you mine. And it's getting to have influential, successful humans on my show, hear their stories, but really get into what has made them successful over and over and over again. And then now that we've done a bunch of episodes, getting to see the common traits of highly successful humans and what are their insecurities and what are the things they had to overcome. And when you start to realize we're all the same. And the difference is those who have figured out the formula versus those who haven't. And the scary thing for me is a lot of people know the formula, they just don't apply it. And so my show, the purpose is to help more people apply it. I want everyone to be successful. And the reason is selfish. If everybody's a multimillionaire and everyone has all the abundance of wealth and opportunity, they're all going to be able to leave a better impact in this world. There'll be way cooler companies and way cooler products and services for me to enjoy. There'll be a much happier environment, will be less polarized. And as a result, society gets better. And I want to be in a very highly elevated society. In order to do that, I need everyone listening to be extremely successful. If you haven't figured out how to be successful, made enough money at this time in my life, what am I going to do? And how am I going to leave my mark on this world and still put my energy and passion into something? And so, like a lot of people, once you've achieved a level of financial stability or success, how do you give back? Because you find out that helping others is more fulfilling than doing it for yourself. And so getting to be part of other people's success stories and helping them realize it's not as complicated and hard as you think it is, and help point them in the right direction. I love that. And so that's my favorite thing. And then I get to invite really cool humans into my headquarters. We have a cool studio and people I know and people I am just meeting through the show. And so I'm getting to continue to build and strengthen my relationship capital.
Rising tide lifts all boats, right?
Rising tide lifts all boats. And then there's a secret in the back. I don't really show this, but in my control room, we have a wall. And every guest has to sign and leave a message. And that wall has so many incredible messages. So I can go in there anytime. And Drew Brees, just to use him, like his says, how you do anything is how you do everything, Drew Brees. It's like, Tim Grover, talks about winning. And Cody Sanchez talks about boring companies. And, all these cool, Jen Gottlieb talks about being seen, and all these things that where it's like, if I'm having a little rough moment and I need to go through my little pity party moment, I can just go in this room and read the wall and be like, look I'm surrounded by brilliance. And all I got to do is just follow and read it. And so it keeps me grounded.
I love that, buddy. I love that. Is there anything else you want to cover before we wrap up?
No, the time is now though. I mean, I don't know when it's going live, but we're filming this beginning of January. Like, please, if the number one thing that I want from anybody is just to take action and implement and just do it. Because I assure you, if you just start, if you just take action, if you just begin, you are going to be further ahead than most. You will continue to do just-in-time learning. You will create just-in-time opportunities. But if you can do this stuff today, like you don't need to go to college and get a degree if you don't have one, or go learn a new skill. Like start making friends with everybody today. That was kind of the theme of our episode, but it's what I'm most known for is my relationship capital. And I think if you go do that, you're going to see so many things open up. Your life will change. And a year from today, you're going to go back and remember this episode. And, Mike's podcast is going to be the one that changed your life, whether it's with me or anyone else. But what he's doing is so great. You're already listening. You're already taking and eating the meal. So now implement, go do it. Because that is the part that no one can help you but you. You've got to just do it.
And go get this book.
And go get the book.
Go get this book. I love you, buddy. Thank you so much. This has been absolutely amazing. One of my favorite episodes ever. I really appreciate your time. I know how busy you are. Thank you for making the time to be our guest on the Mike Litton Experience.
I really appreciate you having me.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out calendly.com/Rio760.